Greetings. My name is Jessica Revere. I'm an instructional consultant with UCAT here at Ohio State, and I'm in charge of our GTA programming, which means that I get to run the workshops that we offer to support GATA nominees in preparing their GATA portfolios. So what we'll be working on this afternoon is to go over the overview that often I give as a workshop form. This year we're also offering it as a webinar for those of you who can't make it to one of our in-person workshops, or for those of you who want a review from what we talked about in our workshop. So what we're going to do today is go over, generally speaking, what a teaching portfolio is, what the specific components of a GATA portfolio are, what resources are available to you as applicants before the February 19th deadline, and any tips, suggestions that we have, and hopefully trying to answer questions in advance, questions that lots of past applicants have asked to the point that we put them in a frequently asked questions guide. So let's get started by talking about teaching portfolios generally, what they are, why they exist. So teaching portfolios generally provide context for your teaching experiences. So is the amount of teaching that you've had typical for somebody in your discipline, or is it unusually high, unusually low? A description of your personal approaches to teaching and learning. So what makes you the teacher that you are? And it's also a teaching portfolio provides evidence of your teaching effectiveness. And a portfolio uses two main categories of information to provide this information. First is summarized data on your teaching, presented in a clear, readable format. And that data will always be accompanied by self-reflection on those teaching experiences and your development. So, what does that mean? Well, I like to think about the major questions that a teaching portfolio should be answering by using the metaphor of an archery competition. So you wouldn't believe me if I said that I was an excellent archer because I shoot a lot of arrows, right? I just stand up and I shoot them, hundreds of them. I shoot lots of arrows. You might believe me that I was a good archer if I described to you what my target was, how far away I could stand from an archery target, what kinds of arrows I use, and how I use specific ones for specific tasks, whether it's rainy or it's windy or whatever else affects archery. And that I could also tell you how accurately I meet my target, right? That would be a convincing story. That would tell you the whole arc of the presentation, of the my success as an archer. So it's similarly, I want to ask you in your teaching portfolio to think about those same three goals, right? So what are your goals for teaching? What do you want the outcome to be? What's the target that you're aiming at, right? Second, how do you operationalize those goals? What do you do to get there? It's often where a lot of us start when we start writing a teaching portfolio, is we start with this, how do I operationalize my goals? Which is that sort of I shoot lots of arrows statement. It belongs as part of your teaching portfolio, but it can't be the only thing. Then I'd also want to hear in a teaching portfolio, how do you take into account your students' needs, their capabilities, and their experiences in your teaching? Not every student, not every class, not every classroom require the same things of you as a teacher. So show me that you think about that. And then finally, how do you know you've successfully met those goals? What does success look like? You said at the beginning, these are your goals for teaching. How do you know you got there, right? How are you picking up on the fact that your students did what you wanted them to do?